Bizarre Brain Comics. Hello, my comic book friends, and welcome to Bizarre Brain Comics. I'm Gary, your host. And this is where I like to take a look at some older comics, talk a little bit about the characters and creators, and examine the stories and the art. And this time, take a look at this one, Expelling My Truth by Tom Van Duesen. This is from published by Kilgore Books. If that's the same one. That's from the Kilgore Bookstore right here in Denver. If that is indeed the same, Kilgore Books. And this is from 2019. This is the only thing I've ever seen by Tom Van Duesen myself. And you know, I enjoyed it. And Tom Van Duesen, he's a motion designer and animator, graphic designer and illustrator in New York City. And he studied at the Seattle Central Creative Academy and at the SUNY. It's Southern University of New York, Buffalo. I think that's what it's called. And apparently, at the time that he did this, is when he was living in Seattle. And I have to tell you, his I looked him up online, and I found him on Facebook too. And apparently, he got his career going, and he hasn't been doing comics as much, but I guess he has recently done some. At least that's what he mentioned in a post on his website. But that was last year. And but his style is, of course, the style has changed. This is from 2019, so it's been about 5 years since then. So I gather he's been doing some. At least making a living, I presume. His art style, to my eye, really resembles the work of Joe Matt. This is not, by any means, a mainstream comic book. This is an alternative comic. And could have been classified 40 years ago as an underground. But it's an alternative comic. He's done. Tom has done some other stuff. I guess he had a series of books called "Scorched Earth." I saw reference to two books, 1 and 2. If he did more than that, I don't know. And he used to be a regular contributor to the Seattle Weekly newspaper. So let's see. This is going to be relatively short, a short one here. Look, he's got his head in his lap. In this cover illustration, I presume he's got a cat. And on the inside cover has a photo of our cartoonist. Kind of has a goofy expression on his face, looking away. But and I'd have to tell you, this picture, in this photo and one of the others I saw on his website, apparently an older one, he looks. It reminds me of some pictures I've seen of young Robert Crumb, and as well, he reminds me a little bit of Noah Van Sciver from several years ago when he lived here in Denver. But I don't know this guy at all. But he goes, "Spelling My Truth." But I have to tell you, he's real nerdy looking here, and that's not derogatory. He's just kind of nerdy looking. But in his more recent pictures on his website, he is not so nerdy looking. He's kind of cool looking, and not a bad looking fella. So I take it he's probably in his late 20s. So here you go. And there are basically 3 stories in this book, and they're all called autobiographical comic strip. I guess he didn't believe in titling each story. And but I wanted to point out that I can see here, and this and in some of the and in the others, he has a strong sense of design, which just, and because all the repetition, and I saw that indicated in some of the stuff that he had on his website, and a lot of solid blacks, solid dense blacks, very little gray tones. It's all black and white, and of course you can see here his strong, heavy reliance on the thick black lines, heavy black lines. Okay, here he is. This is looks apparently at an art gallery, and they're having some free wine when the people are milling about. And the lady asks him, he goes to get some wine, and the lady asks him what you think about the artwork, and he said, "Well," I said, "What do you think about what? The artwork?" And he goes, "What?" And there he sees the art is a performance / installation of this fellow. Everyone's huddled around him, of just a fellow sitting on a chair doodling on his phone. And that is the artwork. And I actually doubt that he gets, this is probably maybe the way he felt, but I doubt that he got this mean, nasty, and with this lady about his impressions of the art and the concept of art. But I do have to somewhat agree with him. Say, come on, I can see it as a comment, as a statement, but is it really art? I could see it as a performance, maybe, but. So I doubt, of course, I don't know this guy at all, but I just doubt that he got as bad, got as nasty as he got here in the story. And that's all for that one. Next one, autobiographical comic strip. This takes place, or starts anyway, on the number 44 bus in Seattle, Washington. Sitting on the bus with this lady holding a baby, and he starts talking to her, talking about at the baby, and asks if he can hold the baby, and he goes, "No." So he's just acting kind of creepy. I also doubt that he is actually, even though it says autobiographical, this particular story is definitely not exactly autobiographical. Some of it might be, but I actually doubt that he's this much of a creeper on the bus. I hope he's not that much of a creeper on the bus. And then he gets off the bus, and here looking at this house, and again his strong sense of design, solid blacks, patterns, all that stuff. And he said, "Oh, look at this house." And then he does more creepy stuff. He sneaks around the side of the house to peek in the windows because he likes to look in people's houses. Come on, how creepy can he be? And then you see, oh my God, this is Eddie Vedder. He's apparently, I don't know, Eddie Vedder from Adam. I'm in my 60s. I couldn't care less. But I guess he is from the band, I just saw it here a few minutes ago. Pearl Jam. Yeah, that's it, Pearl Jam. Something I've heard the name, both Eddie Vedder and Pearl Jam. I couldn't tell you Pearl Jam from anything else. I might like their music. I've probably heard some of it, but I don't know it. Anyway, while he's being a peeping Tom, this light flashes on, and he looks out. It's a UFO, an alien spaceship comes down, lands in the backyard while he's still hiding. This strange-looking alien dude with a huge top hat comes out, and Eddie Vedder comes out to greet him. He said, Splaglui. Ooh, that's hard to say. "What's up, man?" He walks in, and like they're old buddies. And he follows him around the house. He takes some space dope out of his hat, gives it to our musician friend, and he lights up. And then then Tom is spotted. And they go, "Oh, I'm busted." Comes out and invites him in. "Come on into the house." Tells him his name. They chat a little bit. Introduces him to Splaglui, and has him take a hit on the space dope. And then pulls out his while they're on the high side, pulls out his guitar and starts playing a little goofy stuff. And he said, "Well, I probably got to go. Thanks for the dope. Good to meet you." And he said, but while they're talking, he really says how he doesn't have a TV, and said, "Oh, geez. Well, here, I got TVs in every room. Here, take this one." He takes this TV off the wall, hands it to him. Says, "Cool, thanks." And he walks out and gives him some of the dope too. "Oh, cool!" And he walks off with the dope and the TV. And then suddenly, he's in a courtroom on the stand. "And I swear to God, that's what happened." And here's the guy, the musician guy. So he was apparently busted for stealing a TV from this guy. And I doubt that actually happened. Then our third and final story, autobiographical comic strip. And again, you can really see the strong sense of design and pattern in the house. And here we see our guy Tom approaching the front door of this mansion, rings the doorbell, ding dong, and the guy comes out, and it turns out he is the big boss. He is the guy who is the CEO of the company that Tom works for. Again, I don't know if this could be a real story. This one really could be a real story. Comes in and says, "Bring your stuff," and some comics, because he was invited because the boss found out that this published cartoonist is working for him, and he said his son is interested in being a cartoonist, and if you can come over, bring some of your stuff, show him, talk with him, yada yada yada. And here they go, walking through the mansion, yada yada yada. It takes an elevator to the kids' room, which is a huge room, and it looks like a video game arcade with a gigantic TV on the wall and stuff like that. And it gets talking about, he's got his character, the Red Revenger. You see some of the little doodles that the guy's done on an iPad. And wait, is this you killing your father? Yeah. I said, "And you're okay with this?" I said, we let him. We don't believe in restricting his creativity or anything like that. Yada yada yada. They get to talking, and Tom is obviously a little bit unsettled with some of this, and not like this, and then they get to talking. So well, here's some of my stuff, and shows him his work, and says, "Do you work for Marvel or DC?" I said, "You said Jerry had heard of me." I said, "Maybe I was mistaken. He hadn't heard of you. Never heard of him." And he's when he tells him about some of the stuff that he has published, said, "I'm published by a small press publisher, Caulfield Books," and which is one of the publishers that I saw listed in there on his website. And they're talking more, and then he begins to realize when he sees the kid, "Oh, this emotional retarded smart. This is crap," and he doesn't like it. He only likes the mainstream superhero types, and that's one thing. A lot of the people who are big comic fans, who are very big mainstream, do not like alternative comics at all. And most of the alternative comics creators and fans do not like mainstream comics at all. And then people who are like me, and I know there are a bunch of others out there like me, but we are in the minority, those of us who like all versions of comics, the alternative, underground, mainstream. Just love the medium. So he's with the guy, and Tom he's a little bit unsure about this whole deal. The father talks to him. They're laughing at him, and it turns out, see, he's wearing a Punisher t-shirt. The kids are a real, he's a nerd like the rest of us. And anyway, it turns out that, and Tom figured this out, the old man was using him as an example, because when he says, "Here's this guy who's working a crappy job that he hates, spending all his free time doing these cartoons, making no money from it, and in decades to come, he's going to Nothing he has done is going to be worth a thing. And and girls will not touch you with a 10-foot pole. That's the one that gets him. So, okay, I'll go into business with you, Dad, and to heck with the comics. Basically, it's what that I'm paraphrasing, but that's basically what the whole thing is. He pays the guy $300 because he told him he'd pay him $300 to come out there, and he had to take the bus because apparently he doesn't drive. And now it's time for him to leave, and then he asks the guy, well, it's a kicker. Can I at least expense an Uber ride home? Then he goes home. And there's another doodle. And more stuff about himself on the back. And I actually, it's, except for the dope, it's something you could pretty much show your kids. Except he was acting a bit of a creeper, but I don't think I hope he was never that much of a creeper. But I enjoyed it. I like the style, nice clean art style. It's a nice sense of design, and all that. He knew how to draw patterns and stuff to do those buildings the way he did. I enjoyed his artwork, and I enjoyed his stories. So that's all I've got for you this time. I want to thank you for joining me. Please like, share, and subscribe. And let me know what you think of alternative comics, Tom Van Duesen, and anything else that you want to comment about in the comments below. And remember, comics are art.